Hello there, gang. Welcome to the 30. Little change of pace, a little change of music. This is Patrick. I am your host. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We're going to talk about the law. We're going to talk with a local attorney here in Rochester, New York. You're going to hear all about corporations, LLC. You're going to hear about it all. You're going to hear about wills, because I'm going to pick his brain. And again, if you have any comments or questions that you would like to ask our guest, his name is Gregory Paul Salmon, and he has his own firm. So we're going to talk about what he's been up to and what he's been doing to help the community, help others stay out of trouble, and those that are in trouble, how he's helped those as well. So let's get this party started right about now. Greetings all. As I said, this is the 30. I want to welcome you. Those of you, if this is your first time watching the 30, I want to thank you for tuning in. We do this every Thursday from 7:30 to 8 Eastern time. If you're watching us live, if you're watching in replay, thank you so very much. We have a very special guest coming up shortly. But I want to let you know that the 30 is brought to you by C-Ray's Thought Pops. An emoji on a stick to make you feel good, make you look good. And it is C-Ray's Thought Pops. Cindy Ray, of course, I'm going to pop her number up as we go through this broadcast. Very beautiful day, very sunny day. A day for us to conversate and have a good time where we talk about the law. Again, I want to thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring our featured guest in now, and he's going to introduce himself, and we're just going to have a conversation for the next 25 minutes. If you'd like to join us, feel free to add your comments or questions into the comments section, and we will bring them up, and we'll make sure that our guest, Gregory, gets them. Let's bring him in. Hey, Greg, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing great.
I am doing well. I'm doing well.
I was a little muted there. I apologize.
That's okay. These things happen. We are live, so as you know, when we go live, anything can happen, right? So, but
absolutely,
Greg, I want to thank you for joining me here this afternoon or tonight on the 30. Tell our viewers a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Oh, thank you. As you mentioned, my name is Greg Salmon. I am an attorney, but some of you may know, and if you, I know you definitely know, right? I go by many titles, right? I'm an attorney. I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I'm a business coach. I'm a real estate broker. I'm a financial analyst, an investment analyst. I'm an author, right? So I have many different titles. But the one that I wear most proudly is the title of dad as well.
Awesome. So not only do you have all those things that you do, but kids, family is the second most important thing. Of course, the first thing is God. The second thing is family, right?
Absolutely.
So Greg, what's the name of your company?
Right. So I have a law firm. It's the Law Offices of Gregory Paul Salmon, PC. And from that, I have a business coaching firm that is called Earnings and Profits, LLC.
Okay, awesome. So you have a lot going on.
Absolutely.
So some people say when we talk about a lot going on, well, are you from the islands? I know that your dad is.
Yes, he is.
So it comes hereditary that you have lots of things going on.
Right.
I was listening to someone yesterday in Clubhouse, and they were talking about, in terms of building wealth, you need to have multiple streams of income, and that's what you're doing.
Can I touch on that point, because I love that point, and I love discussing multiple streams of income, right? And if we could just jump right in, it would be great, because I
Go
want
for it.
people to kind of understand, right? In America, there are about 8 different ways that you can earn income, and legally, right? Right. We're going to talk about the legal ways you can earn
Of
income,
course, of
right?
course.
And so these 8 different ways, I like to, when I'm speaking with people that I'm coaching, or I'm speaking with entrepreneurs and people who are thinking about setting up different business entities, I like to share with them these 8 different ways, right? And so the first way is the most common way. It's called earned income, right? This is the type of income that most people kind of understand and know as the first type of income you can make, right? This is the income you get from a job, your paycheck, your salary, your wages, right? But then the second way is profit income. And profit income is money that you make when you own a business, right? So you have revenue come in, there are expenses that go out, you pay your taxes, amortization, depreciation, things of that nature. And then what is left there is called net profits. And if you own a business, that's profit income, right? And then the second is interest income. So interest income is money that you make from your lending activity. If you lend money out, and hopefully you get that money back with the money that you lent out, hopefully you get more money on top of that, that interest on top of that, if you've done it right. That's called interest income. The next is dividend income. This is money that you make from your ownership in stocks, right? So not all stocks pay dividends, but the ones that do, you get dividend income from them. After that, we have rental income. And just as the name implies, right, this is money that you get from you renting out something you own or control. You can rent out your house or your car or your clothes or fine jewelry and things of that nature. If you rent it out and you get income from it, that's called rental income. After that, there's capital gains income. This is money that you get when you sell an asset, right? So if you buy a house for $40,000, you sell it for $100,000, you'll have capital gains of $60,000, right? After that, there's royalty income. I particularly like this type of income here, this royalty income, right? And so, if you are streaming live, right, and people are watching, right, then you can earn royalty income if you monetize the streams that you are getting on your platform, right? And then the final type of income that you can legally get here in America is called residual income. Now, this is the type of income that people may hear as it circles around on the internet in different places. This is probably one of the more popular types of income that's gaining steam. And this type of income is money that you continue to make after the completion of just one transaction. So let me ask you, Patrick, do you have Netflix, for example?
Yes, we do.
Right. And so how many times did you actually sign up for Netflix?
One time, and they keep getting our money.
Right. And every month you pay Netflix, right? And that's subscription income. And subscription income is a form of residual income. So when people are thinking about building a business model, I always tell them, consider the different ways that you can probably make income from just that one job or that one source of income, that one LLC or corporation that you've started. There are many different ways you can make money from it.
So you said there are 7 ways, Greg?
8.
Or 8
there
ways?
are 8.
8 ways.
There are 8.
8 ways.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, and most people just touch on one, and that's
right.
Work.
Right.
So,
right. There's so many different ways.
8 ways towards wealth. This is great information. Now, let's say that you go to the second step, which is owning a business, right? Is that a second or third?
That would be.
The first one is a job.
Right. The first is earned income. Now, when you think of these aren't necessarily steps that you have to go in. You can earn as many different types of income as you can possibly, get your hands on. So if you have a business, you may be able to form several different streams of income just out of that one business alone. But owning a business would be profit income at the least.
At the least. It's funny, Greg, because after I heard that last night or day before, and I told it to my wife, so we started counting out how many streams of income do we have. And she said, hey, we're missing 2. Let's get on it.
What was the goal? How many are you trying to get?
We wanted to get 7 or 8. Well, they were talking about 10, but we said if we can get 7 or 8, so we were missing 2. I was like, okay, time to pivot and try to get those 2.
Right. Well, hopefully the different streams that I told you about today, hopefully you guys can incorporate that and get more revenue for yourself.
Absolutely, Greg. This is great information, and I hope our viewers, whether you're watching it live or in replay, that this is information that you need, because that's how the tax base is set up, right? It's not set up for someone that work, it's set up for someone that has multiple streams of income.
Absolutely. And if I may touch on something else now that you've kind of talked about and you kind of nudged us in that direction, right?
Sure.
There are 4 kind of different phases to the financial spectrum for adults, right? And so when people are thinking about going into business, or people may already be in business, I always try to encourage them to maybe think about, well, where are you on that financial spectrum as an adult, right? Because this is going to inform how you proceed in the future with how you will try to build your business, right?
Sure.
And so the 4 different phases are financial insecurity, financial security, financial independence, and financial freedom, right? And so financial insecurity, these are people who are living, and no matter how many different sources of income you have or streams of income you have, you just simply can't pay your bills every month, right?
Right.
And a notch above that would be financial security, which is, again, considering how many different sources or streams of income you have, you're only able to pay just your bills every month, right? This is commonly known as living paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck,
right?
yeah.
After that, there's financial independence. And what this is kind of the area where we probably hear most people describe, right? They're able to bring in income to pay the bills and that little bit in the future, right? They're able to invest in retirement. And you may hear some people say, oh, I have my money starting to work for me a bit, right? They're living a comfortable life, as many people would describe, right? And then there's the financial freedom, right? And this is like the big kahuna. This is so difficult, because what financial freedom truly is, right, is having more money today than you will need for the rest of your life, right? And so many people, they ask me, they say, well, how am I supposed to figure out what that number is? You know? And I would say kind of a rough way to figure it out is to think about what your financial independence number is. Say that's roughly $100,000 a year, right? And let's say you're supposed to live for like the next 60 years or so. You take 100,000, you multiply it by 60, you end up with $6 million, right? So that's kind of the number you need today to be considered financially free. Now, one quick thing I will say to that, because I know I see gears kind of turning in your head too, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like $6 million. I know people who've had that and they've lost it all, and they're back to financial insecurity. How can $6 million possibly be the right number, right? Well, what happens is people live kind of above their means.
Sure.
Right? And so in calculating that number, we thought about $100,000, but when you have $6 million just in hand, you're like, what's an extra 100,000 for this year gonna hurt? What's an extra 50,000 for this, and such, so on and so forth. And what happens is people begin to live outside of their means, and living outside your means can definitely push you right back into financial security, or worse, financial insecurity.
Wow. Greg, this is next level stuff here. And I hope people are viewing it and really taking notes, because this, you don't learn this stuff.
Right.
They don't teach you this stuff, right? You have to really be around people that know it and that are willing to teach you.
Right.
That's the key to it. is that you have to
Absolutely.
surround yourself with people that know it first and that's willing to teach you.
Yes.
Because some
That's
people
so
may know
imperative.
it, but they're not willing to teach you.
That's true too. Well, that's why I started business coaching, right? Is just to
Yeah.
find a way to help people get this information, right? Without breaking the budget, right? Without so-called breaking the bank, right? Getting this kind of information so they can actually do something constructive with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's about building. I always tell folks that it's about building legacy, right? Because
Absolutely.
if you're not going down one generation, at least one generation, then something's wrong. Because so many people come into the world, they live
Right.
and they die,
Yeah,
but
that's
never
true.
leave anything but debt.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
All
So
right.
Greg, I know one of the things that you're doing, because I want to get to this here because we only have another, let's see here, another 10 minutes or so. I know one of the things that I see you doing now, because you've done a lot of things for the community, for your business, in terms of helping others. I think 2 years ago, you were talking about wills, and that is
Yes.
so valuable to people,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because especially working folks that we may accomplish things or gain things, but when we die, what happens to it?
Right, right. So I'm glad you brought this point up because this is for people who have a job, but also for people who own a business, right? Having a legal will is so critically important because having a will allows you to convey what you have amounted and accumulated here while you're living, and you're able to bequeath that and convey that to others, right? And so without a will, there is no way to guarantee, right, where those different gifts will go once you are gone, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so having a will is so important, especially for business owners and especially for people, like I said, who have accumulated a bit over their time. And you can convey more than just money, right? You can convey special gifts. You can convey your vehicle, your home, right? You can convey certain assets. So when we were talking about the different streams of income,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there are assets that allow you to generate these different streams of income, right? And so the way you will convey those different assets when you die is to have a will. So it's so important and so critical that people actually get a will so that they can ensure that their loved ones or the people they intend to get those assets once they're gone can actually get it without the bickering and squabbling and fighting, hopefully, in court.
Yeah. So, Greg, what happens if someone dies and doesn't have a will?
Right. So what happens when someone dies and they actually don't have a will, right, is a loved one will have to go to court, right, and ask the court for permission to essentially represent the estate so that they can wind up the estate, pay the final bills of the estate, pay the final taxes, things of that nature, and actually wind the estate up. Someone would have to ask for permission from a court to do so. Now, the thing is this: multiple people can ask, right?
Mm.
And if people, depending on who's fighting and things of that nature, the court may very well say, you know what, I'm going to get someone that's disinterested. I'm going to appoint this attorney over here and have them do it, right?
Right.
This way
Right.
it's kind of, more objective. There may be people alleging, oh, they're going to just steal this or steal that, or I want this and I want that. Believe it or not, this happens so much. And so the
Mm.
best thing that can possibly be done is for you to get a will so that you can kind of alleviate that to the greatest extent possible.
Awesome. 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 And briefly, tell us what a trust is, because I heard will and I hear trust. So, what is a
Right. So,
trust?
right. So, what a trust is there? I mean, there are various types of trust, but in its most, I guess you could say, common sense, right? A trust is simply a vehicle that you can place assets in, right? So what you can do is you can put money in a trust. You can put a home in a trust. You can put vehicles in a trust and things of that nature. And what you are really trying to do when you create a trust is keep outsiders from being able to penetrate those assets should something occur, a lawsuit, divorce, just various different things that can occur while we are living. If you create a trust, what you're trying to do is protect those assets from being able to be taken while you're either living or after you're gone.
Awesome. I'm talking to Gregory P. Salmon of Gregory Salmon PC. Well, he's an attorney at law here in Rochester, New York. And if you have any questions or comments for Gregory, you can drop them in the comments and I'll bring them up. Greg, let's talk about, I see you made a shift now. You made a pivot from the will. Now you're looking more at businesses and you're looking to help others form LLCs.
That's right.
And corporations. Let's talk about
that. That's right. Okay. So I'm glad you make the comment about shifting and pivots, right? Because what the pandemic has done is it has kind of allowed people to reassess what they're doing or take a look at where a particular need might be and say, hey, can I fill that gap, right? And in doing so, people are forming businesses, right? And so a lot of people contact me and they have questions. Well, should I get a DBA? Should I get an LLC? Should I get a corporation? Well, a real easy way to kind of think about what type of entity you should be is to think about the future. Where are you trying to go in business? A quick and dirty would be kind of this thought here. If you're thinking about starting, say, a tech company where you're going to raise money, right? And you want to eventually go public, right? You want something that will rival Facebook maybe one day, right? You may think about forming a C corporation. Now, there are some drawbacks and downsides to a C corporation. A C corporation is known as double taxation. What that means is you'll be taxed on the business revenue, and any officer, employee of that business, they will also be taxed on their salary and any drawings that they bring out of the business. That's why it's called double taxation. Whereas with an S corporation, it's a bit different. With an S corporation, there's only a limited number of shareholders that can be in the business, right? And so with an S corporation, what you're really looking at is a tax benefit where only you're paying taxes on your salary. You're only paying employer and employee taxes on your salary. Not that same tax does not apply to, say, your business drawings. So let's say hypothetically you have $100,000 in revenue. You could easily say, well, I'm going to make my salary $50,000. I'll pay employee and employer taxes on that. But the other $50,000, you will not pay employer and employer taxes on that drawing. So it's very, very attractive. And
wow,
then you have an LLC.
Great.
right. And then you have an LLC. An LLC is known as a disregarded entity by the IRS. It's what they call pass through. So what that means is when the LLC is formed, any revenue that comes in, it comes in directly to the balance sheet, if you will, of the member or members, right? So the LLC, for purposes of the government, the LLC doesn't have any revenue at all. That revenue is immediately attributed to the member. Now, what's really cool, Patrick, is the fact that you can have an LLC, but then elect to be taxed as an S corporation or a C corporation. Yeah, so that's what's really cool about forming an LLC. You can have an LLC that's a little more flexible. You don't have to maintain the stringent corporate form that a corporation will have, right? But then you also get the tax benefit of a corporation when you have an LLC. So that's what makes LLCs very, very attractive.
So Greg, why would someone have, again, a S corp versus the LLC?
Right.
Because I hear both of them.
Right. So sometimes people may want to form an S corporation because, again, thinking about the future, you may want to have a corporate form that outside investors and other people might look at and find attractive, right? So an investor may look at your business and they may say, they have a corporate form. They're keeping regular records. They have meetings every month, right? They have minutes every month, right? And you're able to assess that. They have financial statements and reports that are created. In a corporation, this is required, right? But in an LLC, it's not. And so an investor may look at that and say, you know what, I'm more apt to invest in this S corporation or C corporation as opposed to an LLC where those requirements are not there. And so the business owner may not necessarily have those documents at all.
Does an LLC give you protection from your personal assets?
Yes. So an LLC, much like a corporation, right, does give you protection. It's LLC stands for limited liability company, not corporation, company, right? And what an LLC does is it limits your exposure, right? Much like a corporation does. It limits your exposure. So should someone try to sue you in your business would be sued, but you and your personal assets would be saved so long as you are maintaining that corporate form.
Got it. And then talk about a DBA now.
Right. So I don't want to put anyone down who may have a DBA, right? I jokingly say in my firm, right, a DBA is just a little bit higher than maybe, you know, a high school assignment that you give to someone, right? But what a DBA essentially is a piece of paper that you go down to your local municipality. Here it would be the county, right? And it's called doing business as. That's what DBA stands for. And what that essentially means is you yourself, the individual, are just merely making up a fictitious name, right? And saying, I'm going to operate under this fictitious name. Your social security number is typically used, but even if you get an EIN number, like you would in an LLC or corporation, for your DBA, you can only get one. So even if you had 8 DBAs, you can only get one EIN number associated with your social security number under a DBA. Whereas if you had 8 different LLCs or 8 different corporations, each LLC or corporation would have its own EIN number.
And then what is in terms of a partnership now?
Right. So a partnership can be seen on a couple different levels. There's a DBA-like partnership where, again, it's now 2 or more individuals who have come together and decided to create a fictitious name, right? And now they want to operate with one another, right? Even in that instance, you can only get one EIN number. And in that instance, there is no protection from liability in a partnership that's formed as a DBA. Now, you can have multiple member LLCs, or you can have a corporation where there are multiple shareholders. And in an instance where it's an LLC or corporation, you do get the limited liability protection that you would in under a normal LLC or a corporation.
So here we go, Greg. Can someone have an S Corp and under that multiple LLCs?
Yes. So someone can have a corporation, and under their corporation, you can have an LLC or multiple LLCs under your corporation, right? Now, you cannot do it in reverse. You cannot have an LLC that owns a corporation. That cannot be done, right? But a corporation can have under it multiple LLCs. A corporation can also have a sibling or it can be a parent corporation to another corporation, but an LLC cannot do that.
All right. Next question, Greg, is can a S Corp be considered a holding company, or is that something totally different?
Right. So a holding company, what this really is just merely a company that is harboring, if you will, other companies. That's all it really is. Typically, when you have a structure, a business structure like this, remember when we spoke about our multiple streams of income earlier, right?
Yeah.
What a holding company would do is essentially sit as that top source company. This is where all of the revenues will flow up to, right? And then from that holding company, decisions will be made as to how the funds will be distributed, spent, and things of that nature, right? But that's typically what you're doing when you have a holding company, is having other companies underneath it just simply flow its revenue up to the holding company. There are multiple agreements that need to be made in an instance like this, just so as to ensure that, you know, this is a legitimate business structure and it's not some sham structure meant solely to avoid taxes.
Awesome. Greg, this is great information. I can go on and talk with you forever here because this is wonderful information. I hope our viewers are taking it in. I hope they're taking notes because, Greg, you don't get this information every day, right? Again,
Right.
Some people have the information, some people don't have the information. And majority of the time, people that have the information don't share it with those that don't have the information.
Right. That's very true. One last thing I want to impress is the fact that I think when people are looking to go into business, that they need to seriously consider finding a buyer first, making sure that you have someone who or multitude of people who actually want what you have to sell first, before even going into business, before taking that journey. You know, you can alleviate a lot of pain. You can alleviate a lot of headache and heartache when you're in business if you can simply make sure that you have a buyer first, because it's going to be critical as the days, months, weeks, years go on when you're actually in business.
Greg, this is valuable information. I want to thank you for coming in. Let's talk about how people can get in contact with you.
Sure. So you can reach me at gregorysalmon.com. You can call my 800 number, 1-800-498-7848. You can reach me on just about any social media platform. I go by my full name, Gregory Paul Salmon, and you can reach me on Facebook, and you can also reach me on Instagram as well.
So it's gregorysalmon.com, right?
That's correct, gregorysalmon.com.
All right, I'm going to put that up right now in the comments. There it goes, so that people, if they want to see you, so we hit both Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
So, Greg, this is great information. I want to thank you. I've seen you grown. It goes back to when we were trying to develop the young people's group, right? And you were very instrumental in that at church. So, and now just to see you grow and just to see how you blossom, it is awesome. Just continue doing what you're doing. Just stay focused, and I know that you will be fantastic and that you will continue to flourish.
Thank you so much for those positive words.
So again, if you want to contact Greg, it is gregorysalmon.com. And Greg, give them your number again, please.
Yeah, sure. My phone number, 1-800-498-7848.
All right. I'm also going to pop that in there for you too. So that if you need to contact you is 1-800-498-7848.
Yes.
All right, Greg. Again, thank you. God continue to bless you and continue to favor you, and do what you're doing. All right. Just spread it, evangelize it, so that people can know exactly what to do. All right, Greg.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. So we've been talking to Greg Salmon of Greg Salmon PLC. He's an attorney in Rochester, New York. As you heard, he's just not an attorney. He's an author. He also talks about business. He's a business coach. So if you want to contact him, go ahead and do that. His email address, actually his website and phone number, they're both in the comments. So I know Greg will treat you well as a client. So I just want to thank him for dropping in. Of course, the 30 is brought to you by C-Ray's Thought Pops. They are our sponsor. You can contact C-Ray, Cindy Ray, at craysthoughtpops.com, or you can call her at 972-862-0194 and let her know that the 30, you heard it on the 30. So thank you once again for being here. If you would like to contact myself. If you would like to be a guest on the 30, you can email me at patrick@jackmangroupllc.com. That's patrick@jackmangroupllc.com. And make sure that you go to our website, the Jackman Group LLC, and see what's there, and like our Facebook page, become a member of our community. We would love to have you in there. You can join us here at jackmangroupllc.com. Join our community. We have some great things coming up in the coming months, so you don't want to miss that. You want to be part of our community so that you hear everything first. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support over the months and the year plus as we move into the next 50 episodes of the 30. May God bless you and your family. Be safe. We'll see you next week.